So supportive connective tissue involves cartilage and bone. We're going to have an organic matrix that gives you a semi-solid ground substance. Bone has an organic matrix, but it is going to have calcium salts, inorganic calcium salts. So the lattice structure, ions, ionic bonds from chapter 2. These are going to crystallize and fill in around that organic matrix to have a solid ground substance. Okay, so this is describing the ground substance. So because you're solid with bone, you get more support, but you're less flexible. Cartilage, less support, semi-solid, more flexible. Collagen and elastic fibers are in different types of cartilage. There's 3 types of cartilage that we'll talk about. There are collagen and glycoproteins in bone that'll be in its organic matrix that is the precursor to bone. We'll talk more about bone in chapter 7, which is coming up. The cell type for bone, osteocytes. So cytes is going to give you a clue that we're talking about cells. Osteo is a prefix for bone. Probably heard of osteoporosis before. Chondrocyte, so cyte, cell, chondro means cartilage. Chapter 1, the hypochondriac region below the costal cartilage is where that abdominal pelvic region is. Because you're in a semi-solid or solid matrix, these cells they need a place to live. If you're in fluid, you're just in the fluid and you can very easily fit in with the tissue. But these cells need space that are not in a semi-solid or solid part. So they will build these lacunae and you'll have the matrix around it. And then the cells will happily live. There's my nucleus, cells kind of living in these lacunae. So both cartilage and bone have lacunae. The organization, so it says clear, glassy matrix. This can be different colors, but when you're looking in between the lacunae, so you can see the lacunae here. You can see the cells because you're seeing the nucleus stained right here. But you can make these outlines of the lacunae. In between the different lacunae, this is going to appear glassy. Here it's actually stained quite blue, but most of the time it's purple, but depending on the stain, it can be pink. But you're going to have chondrocytes living in lacunae. They're going to be there's going to be a lot of space in between, more so than the other types of cartilage. Okay. The perichondrium is a connective tissue. It's actually dense, irregular connective tissue covering 2 cartilage. We find this in the nose, the trachea, larynx, costal cartilage, and anywhere you're going to have synovial joints with articular cartilage. Okay. Also, the fetal skeleton is mostly hyaline cartilage. We'll talk more about this with chapter 7. So we're going to provide support, protecting against malformation, lack of protein fibers, lots of semi-solid, giving this glassy appearance, ground substance, no blood vessels. So if it's really blue and you see these lacunae, you know it's fibrocartilage. This is the nucleus. So I'm going to put L for lacunae, N for nucleus. So you've got, I like this one up here. Look, here's the lacunae. This is the cell. Here's the nucleus. It's living happily in there. There are collagen fibers present. See all this waviness? Shows you the collagen fibers. No perichondrium. Can't really, it's kind of close up on the slide. You can't see it that well. Cell type is always chondrocytes for cartilage, no matter what type it is. Where do we find this? The discs in the spine, pubic symphysis, menisci in our knee joints. We'll be studying this in Chapter 7 and Chapter 9 when we get there. So it provides support, weight bearing, shock absorption. This is coming from the collagen fibers, giving it those properties. We'll be talking about all of this in these chapters. Sparse, semi-solid, a lot of collagen fibers, no blood vessels. Elastic cartilage. We do have a perichondrium. You're going to have chondrocytes. Okay, so here's lacunae. Notice how many more you have. Tons, 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 tons. Okay, that gives you a clue that it's elastic cartilage. We're also going to have elastic fibers. Elastic fibers look very, very dark purple or black in the H&E stainings. So that combined lets you know that it's elastic cartilage. We find this in the external ear, the epiglottis, and the larynx. This, again, we're maintaining shape. All cartilage is giving support, but got a lot more flexibility from those elastic fibers. Okay, a little bit of ground substance, semi-solid, but again, lots of elastic fibers contributing to the extracellular matrix. Not many blood vessels. The several different, there's like 3 or 4 of each, so you don't know which picture I'm going to pick for the lab practical, but you should be able to know that they're all cartilage because these lacunae are pretty distinct. So you all have these lacunae. Bone looks significantly different than cartilage, so because it has lacunae and it doesn't look like bone, you should know that it's cartilage. Now you just have to identify which cartilage. Blue and the wavy collagen fibrocartilage. Glossy appearance. This picture sees a lot more purple. Lots of space between the lacunae. Absence of any sort of protein fiber that you can really see. Hyaline. And you're seeing the perichondrium over here. Perichondrium. Lots and lots, very, very dense. And these black elastic fibers are going to clue you in that it is elastic cartilage. Bone, there's 2 parts. We will study this in Chapter 7 too. Okay. So we have outer compact bone, which is what you're seeing here. Inner, spongy bone, which is what you're seeing here. Okay. So hemopoiesis, hematopoiesis is where that is occurring in the red bone marrow that is going between the trabeculae of the spongy bone. The outer compact bone is giving it strength. That's what's allowing us to stand up and walk around. And it is very, very distinct. Okay. These circular structures are called osteons. We don't really look at the spongy bone in lab. So here's a picture here, but we're not going to look at it very much. These are solid calcium salts. Okay. There's some collagen. This is going to be in the organic matrix. We'll talk about that, how there's osteoid laid down before. We'll get to that in Chapter 7. The cell type, all of these little cells here where there's these black little cells are osteocytes. These form our bones. Of course, we're using that for body movement, framework, protection, also storing minerals. Hematopoiesis is the red bone marrow in the spongy bone. Blood vessels are present. This central canal here has blood vessels in it, and we've got blood vessels running throughout the tissue. There's central canal, right? There's 2 words for it. There's multiple words. So this would be this, here. Osteon, which is what you're seeing here, here, here. So any complete circle is an osteon. Osteon. Okay. You can't really see the lacunae here. So the osteocytes here, they have cellular extensions that go down stuff that we call canaliculi, which are tiny canals. So they contain these cellular extensions of the cell. So where are you seeing that? All of these little black spots are the osteocytes in the lacunae. The little projections, you're seeing the cellular projections filling the canaliculi. Okay, they're out here too, all of these. Okay. Each layer we call a lamella or lamellae in plural. But bone is very distinct, right? Lots of grays, blacks, whites. I'm going to talk about blood here just because I'm just adding it onto this lecture, little mini lecture. So blood is a solution, a colloid, and a suspension. Remember that from, I think, chapter 2. Erythrocytes, red blood cells. Leukocytes, white blood cells. Platelets are parts of cells. Okay. You'll talk a lot about blood in 169 in the cardiovascular chapters, right? It's in our heart, all of our blood vessels, transporting the oxygen and carbon dioxide, taking oxygen from the lungs to the tissues, carbon dioxide that is the byproduct of cellular respiration, taking it back to the lungs so it can be exhaled. Lots of immune function, blood clotting, platelets would be blood clotting, transporting all the nutrients, hormones, cellular waste, all of that stuff. So we're not seeing protein fibers. This is fluid, right? Blood is fluid. It's mostly, there's lots of blood plasma. The major component of blood plasma is water. It is what is contained in blood vessels, so that doesn't make sense. Blood vessels. I'm going to do W for white blood cell. Doesn't matter. We're not differentiating the type. You will in 169. These are all white blood cells. These are all red blood cells. We'll call that the platelet.